Good morning, Math 8 Slope Formula Superstars. Okay, so this is our review for today. This is actually a GeoGebra battleship game. Now, we're going to go through the battleship game. I've actually changed it a little bit. This is a game you can play if you remember the old battleship game. You know, you sunk my battleship. But, that's kind of an old game. So some of you still know about it. I know we mentioned that in class. But today we're going to review slope formula. So, slope formula. Very important, I'm going to put it in red, is m, right? Because m equals slope, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, you should be thinking to yourself a few other things, right? You can see this is a game board for Battleship, but you still have a coordinate plane with an x and y axis, right? And obviously, the lines that are on there, they represent the battleships. But a couple things you need to realize is slope. Some things we need to review about slope, and I've been reviewing this all along in the videos, is slope is delta y over delta x. And all that means is the change in y over the change in x. So I'm going to write that too. Change in y over change in x. Okay? We also need to know that these lines are represented by a name. Just like you're represented by your name, and that's how we identify you, these lines are the same thing. And those lines are identified by a line equation, and that equals mx plus b. Right? And as you can see, our m is our slope still, and our b is our y-intercept. So this is just some review stuff. The slope formula is new, right? Because now we're not graphing things. We're taking 2 points. So you're probably saying to yourself, Mr. Pichette, why do I have a graph here? Well, you need to kind of have a graph or a visual of what you're doing, especially when you're playing Battleship. But we're not going to be focusing on the graph itself. Okay? We can look at this and we can identify that there's a slope between two problems on here. And the slopes are different. So this is going to be our first problem, and then this is going to be our second problem. We're going to try to sink these battleships. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify these points. So we have the point negative 3, 2 right here. So that's the point negative 3, 2. And the point up here is negative 4, 4. Okay? So, yes, I can look at this graph and I can figure out the slope so I can identify where the next point would be, so on and so forth. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the slope formula using these 2 points. Okay? So if I were to write my points down, my points are negative 4 and 4. And my other points are negative 3 and then 2. So this is my first point. This is my second point over here. And I'll put a little line over here. And then we're going to label them, right? If we don't label them, we're not going to know. This is my x1, this is my y1, this is my x2, this is my y2. Okay, now I'm going to use my equation. And we'll go over to, let's go like a brown color. So I'm going to write my equation again, or my formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And now I'm going to substitute in my values. So I have y2 minus y1, that's 2 minus 4, right? And then my x2 minus my x1, that's negative 3. And that's minus, I'll put a minus here, minus a negative 4, right? And what is that going to equal? So I'm going to get my calculator out because we're dealing with some different signs. I'm actually going to walk over and get my calculator. So, you're adding and subtracting integers, you want to use your calculator. So, I'm going to put in my calculator 2 minus 4, and I get negative 2. So I should have negative 2 over, now I got a more difficult one, but I'm going to put it in my calculator because I want that warm fuzzy feeling that I'm correct. So negative 3 minus, in parentheses, the negative 4, and that gets you 1. So, our slope is pretty easy. The final slope for this battleship would be negative 2 over 1. Okay, so if I go up here, you notice that the slope is the same whether I'm looking at my graph or not. So if I draw my, I'll call this the McKeachik right triangle, I notice I can go down 2 and over 1, that's the same slope, and I'd be able to hit the battleship there. Okay, so I know my slope, I can identify where the location is of this battleship, and I can go through. Now, I don't want to spend too much time going through all these because we're already 5 minutes in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you to do number 2 on your own. Okay, so number 2 you can practice at home, especially if it's something that you're still struggling with. So I'm going to give you the points. This is the point 5, 2. All right, and the point here would be 1, 3. So you can do that at home and check it. Remember, you can replay this video. You can use it to help you. I'm going to add a copy of our notes from yesterday on Google Classroom. Please let me or Miss McKeachik know if you have any questions or concerns. You can email us. You can, I know Miss McKeachik has, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Do all those things. Message us if you have any more questions or concerns. But everybody have a great day and have an awesome weekend.